Welcome to the China Sourcing Academy course, where we dissect the biggest issues facing buyers sourcing direct from China, with tips to save you time, money, and fast-tracking your business. With your hosts, Mike Bellamy and Neil O'Connor.
All right, so we've got two factories here. They're both making knitwear garments for US customers, someone like Gap or Walmart in the US. So they're dictating the design. Then they give that to the merchandiser goes to the factory, and the factory says, okay, yes, we can, yes, we can. So when we went to this factory here, what we found was, wow, this is very interesting, about 160 employees. This one had about 120. But the two big differences here was this factory had knitting machines. This factory, there was no knitting machines, but there was a lot of manual labour going on. And I wonder, what was the big difference between these two factories? This factory is outsourcing the knitting to the neighbouring province. And often I talk to buyers from overseas, I think, well, sometimes you can't see the difference between two factories, just lots of people doing lots of stuff. And some factories may not even want to show you the machines, they say they have them. All right, this factory here was making its own garments in-house and then assembly and making the whole full garment. And so the big point I want to make here was that not just the outsourcing part, but how can these two factories survive in 2015 when, or after 2000, and well, Dongguan is technically bankrupt if you measure it by international standards, but you've got factories there just continuing to operate. How can they survive when labour costs are going up? How can they survive when there's taxes to pay? How can they survive when they're selling to international buyers who are not going to give you a better price anyway? Okay, like we're talking about FOB $10 US per unit. Wow, how do you make money? And so the things I learned when I went to these factories was, number one, they're very small, so they're under the government radar. They pay piece rate wages, which is not necessarily legal, right? Okay, and after the 2008 financial crisis, they actually got subsidies from the government, local government, to just continue to operate. So there are a lot of factors out there that I guess many of you know. Put your hand up if you had some idea about one of those three factors. I'm sure some of you you're familiar with these things that are going on in China. That's what makes China a very interesting place, because you cannot just write one book about it, because number one, it's changing, and number two, it's so complex. Which city are you going to write about, okay? Which factory are you going to write about? Every factory is different, just like these two here. They're small, under the radar.